Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. He is about books. He helps you publish your own books. But every time we get together, we go deep into all different other types of media. NFB Publishing is his company. And literally, if you've got an idea for a book, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, he can help you walk that journey, even as a amateur writer. I don't even like to use the word amateur because, we might have skills we don't even know we realize. That journey from editing that book, crafting the plot, the characters, to even getting it marketed and published. And he's back with us. Lots to talk about today. Mark Pogodzinski joins us here on the program. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We were just talking before we got on here today, and we're like, now we're bouncing all these different ideas. I don't even know where to begin. We've talked about a lot in the last number of podcasts. What should we focus on? What are you feeling?
Well, we were talking about songs, and I had asked you, like the 5 songs, in your opinion, that everyone must listen to before they die. And you had mentioned that you had heard a song today, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
These lyrics are amazing, and I need to share it. So, you have to repeat the song for me.
Yeah. So I don't know, call it the Fast Five. I'm gonna get yours too. I was at the gym. Song came on. Came out in the 80s, mid 80s, around there. Actually, like 83, 4. Howard Jones, Things Can Only Get Better. And I've heard it a ton of times. But as I started listening to it, it started resonating with how we're all, stuck in a spot and we want to move our lives forward. And some of the lyrics that stand out. We're not scared to lose it all. Security thrown through the wall. Future dreams we have to realize. 1,000 skeptic hands won't keep us from the things we plan unless we're clinging to the things we prize. Now, to me, clinging to the things we prize, all right, we're stuck on things like, I need to have the big house on the hill and the cars. Do you really? And do you feel scared? I do, but I won't stop and falter. And if we threw it all away, things can only get better. That's just a piece of the song. I kind of roll with things that are more inspirational and make you think. And that's one that popped up for me today. That was like, I want to share that. I think that's a good song.
And then it made me think about there was a series called Material Girl by an author, James Turin, who, like, I think, like us, a child of the 80s, thought there was more to 80s music than, that pop veneer.
Yeah.
And so he wrote this series called Material Girl, that 80s songs were a gateway into a portal to a higher dimension. And there was a whole sci-fi thing that he did, and like there's 80s lyrics throughout. And if you said them in a certain way, like a mantra, it would open these portals to different dimensions. And there's alternate realities where entire societies were based on 80s songs. And he had obviously done an incredible deep dive into that music, which a lot of people dismiss as like pop or unimportant. And he pulled this really fascinating plot line out of it. And it was turned into a comic book series.
Wow.
Really interesting. But like, what did you say? You hear something on the radio like this morning, and everything starts firing in your brain. Like, what can I do with this? And you're inspired, and you share it. And then maybe you go home and you write your own lyric or your own poem based on what you heard that day. And that's great how the creative mind works, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we've said before there's nothing new. It's everything. It's been done before, but we get inspired. We are influenced by the stuff that's out there. Can I share another one?
Sure.
So this one's this one's going back,
All
but
right.
there's a reason. It's from the early '70s. It was a top 10 song by the band Chicago. Now, every day since I was a kid, all through life, I would hear this song. I've been searching so long, and I always thought it was about searching for a relationship, searching for love. I heard it the other day, and it was like I got hit over the head with a sledgehammer
Ooh.
because it's not about any of that. It's about searching for an answer.
Huh.
and the answer in your life. And essentially it's the writer says that now I know my life has meaning. And it's like, whoa, okay. And if you look at the lyrics, it's kind of powerful. And the song kind of builds, it's very like dreamy at the beginning and then kind of builds up with a lot of, they were big with, brass and percussion. It kind of builds and rocks out toward at the end. Um, and the last lines of the song are good things in life take a long time. Um, yeah, it really moved me. I was like, whoa, okay. Aren't we all searching for the answer?
Yeah,
Something.
that's fantastic. And again, something I won't say obscure, but like maybe overlooked. With the dreamy chorus and whatnot of Chicago, and then you start looking at the words, you're like, whoa, there's a lot of depth to this.
Yeah.
And the search for the whatever it is, the meaning, is an essential plot point, and I think to every book. A great character has to be searching for something. And
Hmm.
I borrowed this from someone else. The essential aspect of humanity is brokenness. We're all searching for whatever puzzle piece we think we need to complete ourselves, the thing, whatever, however you want to term it. And that essential quest is the base plot line for most
Wow.
stories.
I can't believe you said that.
Uh-oh.
And you're gonna think that I'm very honest and transparent. When I heard the song Howard Jones song today at the gym, I look in front of me and there's a guy working out and the back of his shirt says, "We're all broken."
Oh man.
And I cannot believe that. We in different ways, beautifully broken. And I get done, I take my headphones off and I look at him I'm like, that's the best shirt ever. And we fist bumped like, awesome, bro. Just walked away. And it was right when I was hearing that other song. And now you just said that about being broken. Wow.
Not in a bad way, you
No,
know.
no, no.
Um,
We all got stuff. We all have things.
and I think that's what motivates us to do anything is to fill or to fix our own puzzle. And again, it's a puzzle that can never be completed, one would hope, because that keeps you going.
Right.
But that drive, that need for completion is important in poetry, fiction, even the nonfiction pieces, self-help. There's an entire genre of self-help books that try to help people fill their puzzle. And sometimes you don't have to be an expert, but to tap into something to make that connection with the reader where they're like, you know what, this is what I needed for at least a couple months. This is going to keep me going. And again, that who knows where that inspiration comes from? A song, the gym, what have you. And then you go home, you're like, I'm going to sit down because I got something to say. And you
Mm,
start.
yeah. Here's another one. And this one always just comes back. 90s now. We've moved
Ooh,
ahead.
that means
Uh,
80.
uh, the group is called New Radicals.
Oh yeah.
You get what you give. Eh,
The new radicals, what is they mention people in the song, don't they?
Yeah, Courtney Love, Marilyn Manson, health
Yeah.
insurance, blah blah blah. But health insurance, not getting into it, but it's funny how that's on a lot of our minds now for recent events. And then that song mentions it. And then also talks about, smash your Mercedes Benz but the concept of you get what you give, when it comes to love, when it comes to anything. And just it was their only hit. But a standout when it comes on. And their sound, side note, reminds me a little bit like U2 in a way, like a poppy U2 song.
Yeah, and again, we're trying to fill that void, right? To complete the puzzle. And you hear it. They had one, as you said, the one hit wonder. That one song meant something to so many people, and maybe they don't have another hit, but at that one point, that was important, and
Yep.
I like that. All right, so that's three of your five. You got two more.
You're pushing. Oh, I gotta think about that for a second. How about you? How about throw me one that you've listened to. It doesn't matter when it came out. Maybe listened to in the last I don't know, a month, a couple of weeks that kind of stood out for you.
So as Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds was always one of my favorite bands. He spanned some of these to the present day still releasing music, is Into My Arms. It's a love song about finding that certain someone and walking the path with them. And it was it was my wedding song when I got married, which a lot of people were thrown by because it's not a customary wedding song, but it's always been important to me. And the lyrics are, you know, I don't believe in intervention as God, but I believe in love. And I always thought that was a great opening line for a song.
Give me that
And
again. I want to process that. It's been a while since I heard that song.
I don't believe in intervention as God, but I believe in love.
Hmm.
And the song goes on about walking the path, and it was
Wow.
great. And I no matter where I hear it, I stop and listen. My wife and I still listen to it from time to time because it reminds us of our wedding. But like that is a one song that I will always go to and will always have like a deeper meaning for me. And
Wow.
I think when I write too, the notion of hope and love overcoming almost every obstacle. Um, but having the idea that it might not, I think makes for great drama and great conflict in a story. So again, taking inspiration from wherever you can and using it as your own. I think, and that artist has done a lot of music like that, where it's the search for love, but the idea that it might not happen, or it might not exist, or it might not work out well. And an essential aspect of the love story is the tragic ending. That is always possible. So it's like the happy but sad, and that's what kind of draws me to a song or a book or a movie.
Do you feel that love is so universal? It's the
Hmm.
highest, if you look at energy, the highest vibration there is. And we all are looking for love. It's just that's the way it is. Do you think that's why it's so big in all media, literature, m- music, movies, all of that?
We had a really deep conversation about the metaphysics of love, but you're right, right? Love is essential. That's essential aspect of being human. We seek it. We're terrified we won't find it. There's different variations of it: family love, sibling love, romantic love, love of a child, and there's so much wrapped up in it. There's so many hidden emotions under that love umbrella, which is an odd term. Um, so that's what I think is so complex, and I think it factors in almost every story, some aspect of love, whether it
Hmm.
be obsession, into love. There are thousands upon thousands of stories with it. One that comes to mind is The Chaser. It's a short story by John Collier, where main character's name is Alan. He's going to give this girl a love potion, and the love potion is going to make her fall in love with him.
Hmm.
But the man who sells him the love potion also sells poisons, because the whole idea is that too much love becomes toxic, and eventually all love affairs will end poorly. And it's a very short story, written, I forget when it was written, but like in the 40s, I believe. And it's an interesting aspect. And one of the lines in it, the love potion's $1. And the guy says to the main character, if you people who need love potions rarely have enough to buy anything else. So there's that quick jab that love is cheap in the story. And I always liked that story because for such a short story, it had so many different elements in it. And again, it
Wow.
goes to the idea of love. Like, what is it? Why do we want it? What does it truly mean?
There's a lot of themes going in that one. What's the name of that again? That story?
Called The Chaser by John Collier. It's very short. If there's a interesting Twilight Zone episode based on it, from the 60s. So again, there's thousands of, I mean, I can rattle them off it, if you want to, like different love stories. But again, your notion of love and my notion of love are different. If we were to write a story, our idea has to come out. Our theme of love has to come out in our own stories. So that's one way for a
Hmm.
writer to start. You said amateur writer before. We use the term aspiring writer. A
Thank you.
love story, a love story is great because it's a universal concept. People have so many different versions, and if you write a good one, people will either love it or hate it, but they'll have an emotional reaction to it.
Hmm. I've heard of that story and totally forgot about it. And I'm looking at this in a very different way because love is love. Okay, we got that. But we experience it in all different ways. You may have found your love and you've been with that person for quite some time, and it's all good. Somebody else may have been through multiple relationships, and they could have been heartache, and maybe that person did something to the other person, and you see it in a different way. So even though we're talking about this one universal thing called love, there's all different camera angles on it.
Yeah, and then again, you start doing a little research because if you want to write stories or books, you should read. Another great one, and a author who does interesting stuff with the notion of love is Raymond Carver. One of my favorites of his is "Why Don't You Dance?" What you said there, it presents you with an older man who's selling everything he owns in a garage sale. He's drinking. There's a quick line, his side, her side in the story, so there was a her. We don't know what happened to her. And then there's a young couple looking to furnish a little apartment, and they're very happy to be in love, and they're kissing, and they're on there. It doesn't matter that they're in some strange guy's front yard. And the great line in that story is at the end of the story, the young girl's trying to figure out what happened because the old man had sold everything. And the line is, there was more to it, and she tried to get it talked out. After a while, she quit trying. That basically would sum up love for me. I could try to explain it. You could try to explain it to me. We could talk about it for hours, but there might be no consensus to what it actually is and how it changes, how it morphs. And that's why I think love is what a great theme and is part of every great story.
Wow. I'm getting downloads. More songs are popping in my head. Uh,
All right.
this one, it has a different meaning for me, but it was a year ago. I needed an answer for something personal. I knew there was an answer, but the answer is not there. So I'm driving here, and I'm like 2 miles away. I stop at a stop sign, and this song drops in my head, and it was "Let It Be" by the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
There will be an answer. Let it be. I come here, walk right in, phone rings, pick it up. It was the answer. I got the answer. And that song lyrics are in the other room on the wall. Um, and when you look at them, we see that if you remember the lyrics, Mother Mary comes to me.
Okay.
A lot of people think that's a biblical reference. It's his mom, Paul McCartney's
Oh,
mother, his name Mary. My mom was Rosemary. So I think almost like she threw me that song to say, hey, there's an answer. You're going to get the answer. But so that song stands out. And there's a lot of meaning, I think, for all of us in that song. Kind of goes back to searching for an answer from that Chicago song. I think we're all searching for something.
a
Um,
sense of theme.
maybe, maybe the answer.
That's a, I like I like that story in particular too, because that song for you now has a permanent memory.
Sure.
And it was important at that moment. And I think that happens to a lot of us with all different types of media. Songs, I think in particular, like because we usually have a soundtrack
Yeah.
for important events in our life. As I mentioned, there's the soundtrack for my wedding, which was distinctly post-industrial punk music. Um, but I think like that song will always have that meaning. And we have songs for funerals, we have songs for weddings. Every emotionally important event in our life has some sort of soundtrack. And I know a lot of writers, when they sit down to write, they have music. They have a soundtrack that they play, and they have various ones depending on what type of scene that they're writing.
Wow.
That helps them get in touch with the emotions for the characters. And, you know, I have talked to different authors and they have emotional outbursts as they're writing. The music is playing, the memory of whatever is in their head. They're transferring that emotion to the paper and they're having this emotional breakdown. Let's just say like a mother passing away. They're writing a sad scene. They're playing a song, their mother's favorite song in the background. They're writing, tears are coming down and they come up with this fantastic scene. And I think the music is vital to that too. So it's an
Wow.
interesting idea, especially like that story. I love those stories where the song has a specific memory attached to it.
Mm,
So thank
wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
And I never thought that it makes perfect sense that somebody writing, an author writing, is listening to music and picking up certain things within the music. And be it known, I'm picking certain songs here. I listen to everything. You
Mhm.
got, don't come in the car with me because it's going to change every, zero point 0.3 seconds. Because I love everything from reggae to industrial. Could be EDM, could be, cheesy 70s songs. Okay, everything. The songs that dropped in my head when we started doing this today are songs. It seems that songs that are older have a little bit more of a message in them in terms of the lyrics. And my final one today, and this came up yesterday, I was doing a podcast, and a gentleman has suffered PTSD, not from battle, but just life in certain situations. And he said, "Yeah, I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unsee what I saw." And it reminded me of one of the first songs I ever played on the radio. I won an amateur hour when I was in high school, and I just picked songs to play. And one of the songs I picked was Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Brown, early 70s song. And if you look at the lyrics, essentially it's about that. I can't unsee what I saw. And basically, it's Doctor My Eyes have seen the years in the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done all that I could to see the evil and the good without hiding. You must help me if you can. Doctor My Eyes, tell me what is wrong. Was I unwise to leave them open for so long? And
Oh,
that at that
that's
moment, yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff, but it's not a slow song. The thing moves. I mean, check it out. It's what a message in that. And it's weird that I just randomly picked that as a kid and I played that. And it just dropped in my head yesterday when this gentleman was talking about I can't unsee what I saw. That's that song. Sometimes we keep our eyes open and things happen and we're wondering like should I just close my eyes and not even look at what's going on or metaphorically deal with what's going on. um it's probably a movie in there somewhere.
uh, I would think like if you were to write a book, that might be the first song you play on your soundtrack when you start, because it's
Hmm.
going to put you in a headspace for deeper thought
Yeah.
and that idea of that quest to fill the puzzle. It seems like that song, if I heard it, I bet I would know it, but it doesn't pop into my head right away. But now I have to listen to it again to make sure that I know it. Uh, that would have like obviously intense meaning for you, takes you back to that moment.
Yeah.
And and as a writer at that point, boom, you've tapped into emotion and you're ready to go. You're ready to write something. Even nonfiction writers, I know, they play music in the background, especially when they get to intense scenes. They have to have a specific song, whatever it may be. They got to hear it, then the emotion comes through.
Mm.
And I like the idea of the soundtrack. Like your five songs, they're essential. And I think I mentioned it yesterday, quote from another book, what you like is as important as what you are like. So
Yeah.
you music taste is important, movies taste, books, what have you. And I think that informs us as people and artists.
Well, it also influences us, and then I feel that we're moving targets. Like I did a count, and I think I've played like 5 million songs in my life on the radio. So, and well, I do a music show every day. I had the music log right here. I just record it, and it's 80s, 90s, some 2000s, some 70s in there. But a lot of these songs, like, yeah, just play them. And then all of a sudden I start realizing what they're about, even decades later, like that Chicago song, like, whoa, oh, that's what that's about. Maybe I'm going deeper in my journey, but I've learned something today. Uh, Mark, you run way deeper than I ever thought. And that's probably why you're so successful in helping people write books. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of meaning going on there. Whoa. Interesting podcast today. Got to tell you, very, very interesting.
I'll take it as a compliment.
1 billion percent. But now I see why you've got such an array of titles that you've worked, help people with. And most importantly, it's very personal for them. So
Yep.
you tap into what's driving them, and then you walk that journey with them. And only somebody that runs deeper, like yourself, would be able to do that. Now I understand it. Now I see it. Um,
I appreciate that.
wow, very cool. Anybody's thinking about maybe writing a book and has questions? How do they find you?
Well, first they should get their soundtrack ready. So when they sit down, they're ready to roll. But
Yeah.
if you go to nfbpublishing.com, there's a submissions form. It's very quick. It gives us an idea about your project. And we can, at any stage of the project, we can help you along. We can hook you up with people who can help you in terms of editing, in terms of story ideas, story completion. And now we're going to start working on soundtrack creation. So if you need a soundtrack, we can provide one for you.
Oh, that's awesome. Fabulous talking with you today, and lots more to come. Looking forward next time we get together.
All right, have a fantastic day.
You too. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.